Alright guys, so whatever the objective is, whether you want to recover from some kind of tightness through injuries or through your training, or you want to become flexible, it's very simple to understand, and that's what it really comes down to, right? If you do a first principles based analysis of this and just go after the easiest possible explanation for the problem that's in front of you, the question that you're trying to answer, or rather the conclusion that you're constantly trying to audit, right? Because we conclude things and we have to understand that we got to be auditing those conclusions, right? You can't reach at a conclusion and then have that be the last thing that you have to say about anything. You have to audit those conclusions as more information comes in, as the scope of your observation increases, the quality of your assumptions improve, the conclusions will change, they will morph into new ones. So that's what it comes down to. Whether you want to recover from something or whether you want to get flexible, if you are stretching, understand that what we see around ourselves, what we see everybody do, which is basically people dedicating 15 to 30 seconds to stretching their arms out or stretching their quads out or something like that, taking something and stretching it out. Let's say if it's a low body day, you do a pigeon stretch, 15 seconds on this side, 15 seconds on that side. That's not going to solve anything, and that's so simple to understand, that if you are expecting some kind of a change in the physiology to occur in your physiology, you want your muscles to become flexible, you want your joints to become unrestricted, you want your strength to be a little bit more. If you're expecting things like these, it takes time, right? It takes input, it takes what we call a stimulus, right? You have to put a stimulus on the body and then the body responds to it. And when you think about the stimulus, you kind of constrain it by two thoughts. You think about its intensity and you think about its time duration. And when you do a 15-second stretch and you want to change something in your physiology, you want to become more flexible or you want to recover or heal a muscle, then a 15-second stretch neither has the time duration nor does it have the intensity, right? That's what you would call a poor stimulus. And then the third layering is the overloading factor, which everybody has to understand, that it's very simple, right? It's like the human body, the first thing it will do to any kind of change, any kind of a stimulus, is that it will adapt and find a state of accommodation. It wants to get accommodated to its environment. Everybody go and look up what homeostasis is online. The number one requirement of the neurophysiology that makes you who you are is to find a state of accommodation. That's why it has adaptive capabilities. That's why it can adapt. That's why we possess the capacity for change, right? So that we can constantly keep adapting to our environment and find this new state of homeostasis. So if all you're doing is 15-second stretches here and there every other day, and that's all you keep doing, then nothing changes. That's what we are getting at here. If that wasn't apparent already, nothing changes. So that's a flawed way. So what we want to attempt to do here is we want to bring you from here and bring you to first principles architecture, logically constructing your training program around you and doing things that make sense. I'll take a moment here. Right, and doing things that make sense. Oh, sorry guys, it's a low budget setup. I have to kind of take care of 3-4 things at the same time. So yeah, we are at a point where the phone might turn off because of low storage, but yeah, we're doing the best that we can. We're deleting some footage that we do not want to delete, but there's nothing that can be done now. We have to we have to talk about stretching. So it all comes back to architecture. It all comes back to how well are you training for yourself? Are you modeling the training around you, or are you kind of just trying to fit into an idea of what training means, right? Honestly, think about anything related to your training, but do not reference to the late 20th century bodybuilding era, right? Try doing that. It's almost, for a lot of people, it's going to be very hard, right? So you got to understand that what we know about training, we get from the media that we consume, we get from the content that we consume, we get from the conditioning that we are subject to. So it's the onus is on us to, again, whatever that conclusion is, whatever our idea of training is, we got to keep auditing it constantly. As new information comes in, as we are able to observe more events, as we are able to assume things better, we should be auditing our conclusions, right? So that's what all this is. That's what all this is. This is an effort to help you guys and kind of increase your area of awareness so that your pool of observation improves, so that you're able to make better assumptions, and you're able to come to this is all you come back to. You have to construct your training your training has to have architecture. Your training program has to have architecture that is based on first principles. That just simply means that you objectively address your own experience. You model the training around what is required for you to improve on your strengths, improve on your weaknesses, capitalize on your strengths, and what it makes sense for you in regards to your own personal environmental context and journey through time, instead of trying to fit yourself in a preconceived notion of what training is supposed to be, right? A simple way to filter out information, and we have to be careful about the information that we consume. That's kind of the perennial, resource, and you got to be careful with the information, right? You got to have a system through which you can process information, so that you can. One of the first things that you do is you apply this filter in that system of retaining information, where you just don't let junk information come in. Should you even know all of this? Will again come back to, does it matter in your training program? Are you at that point in your journey or not? That's all it comes down to. If it makes sense for you, you do it. If it is first, if your thought process around how you should be training is objectively sound, then you're good, right?